Human beings have always sought to understand themselves. Across millennia, in monasteries and academies, in laboratories and philosophical dialogues, the central questions have remained strikingly consistent. How does the mind work? Why do we suffer? Why do we think irrationally? And is there a path toward lasting inner peace? Hey, quantum knowledge here, bringing you informational facts and deep insights into human psychology, philosophy, and neuroscience, how they work, and why they are necessary in furthering human development in the modern day. If you find this information useful and/or informative, like, comment, and subscribe for more quantum knowledge. Modern neuroscience offers detailed insights into neural circuitry, cognitive biases, and emotional regulation. Psychology explains perception, memory, personality, and behavioral patterns. Philosophy provides frameworks for meaning and ethical orientation. Spiritual traditions offer experiential methods for transforming consciousness itself. Each discipline addresses the same core mystery from a different angle. The human mind is both extraordinary and flawed. It is capable of reason and delusion, compassion and cruelty, creativity and despair. To understand how we might move toward inner peace, we must first understand the machinery that generates thought, emotion, and ideals. We must examine how these mechanisms vary across individuals. We must identify the limitations embedded in human cognition. And finally, we must explore how thinkers throughout history, from ancient philosophers to contemporary psychologists, have attempted to resolve these tensions. The mechanisms of human cognition. The brain is a predictive organ. At its most fundamental level, the brain is an organ of prediction. Rather than passively recording the world, it actively constructs models of reality. Sensory input, light striking the retina, sound waves vibrating the ear, tactile sensations activating receptors, are transformed into electrical and chemical signals. These signals travel through complex neural networks where they are interpreted in light of prior experience. Neurons communicate through synapses, releasing neurotransmitters that influence whether neighboring neurons fire. Through repeated activation, neural pathways strengthen, a process known as synaptic plasticity. This plasticity underlies learning and memory. Experiences do not merely pass through us, they reshape the architecture of the brain. Perception is therefore not a simple mirror of reality. It is an interpretation guided by prior expectations. When you see a tree, you are not just seeing raw sensory data. Your brain is applying patterns learned over years of interaction with the world. Memory, language, and cultural meaning are integrated into the perception itself. This predictive architecture is efficient but imperfect. Because the brain relies heavily on prior models, it is susceptible to bias. It often fills in gaps, misinterprets ambiguity, and reinforces expectations even when they are inaccurate. Cognition and emotion are intertwined. Historically, Western thought often treated reason and emotion as opposing forces. Reason was elevated as rational, objective, and pure. Emotion was viewed as impulsive and disruptive. Modern neuroscience has overturned this dichotomy. Emotion is not a contaminant of thought. It is integral to it. Emotional circuits shape attention, memory consolidation, and decision-making. When a situation carries emotional significance, the brain allocates greater resources to processing it. Fear heightens vigilance. Joy broadens cognitive flexibility. Sadness narrows focus toward perceived loss. Patients with damage to emotional processing regions often struggle to make decisions, even when their reasoning abilities remain intact. This suggests that emotion provides evaluative weight. It signals importance and urgency. Without it, thought becomes directionless. Emotion can also distort cognition. Anxiety can amplify threat perception beyond realistic boundaries. Anger can bias interpretation toward hostility. But these distortions are not anomalies. They are part of the system's design. The same mechanism that protects us from danger can generate unnecessary suffering in complex modern environments. Ideals and abstract thought. Human cognition extends beyond immediate survival concerns. We form ideals: justice, beauty, freedom, truth. These abstractions arise from the brain's capacity for symbolic reasoning and conceptual integration. Language plays a critical role. Words allow us to categorize, generalize, and construct narratives. Through narrative, we build identity. We create stories about who we are, what matters, and where we are going. Ideals become organizing principles within these stories. However, ideals can both inspire and torment. When reality diverges sharply from our internal standards, we experience dissonance. Perfectionism, moral rigidity, and unrealistic expectations often stem from deeply internalized ideals that exceed practical constraints. Thus, cognition, emotion, and ideals are inseparable strands in the fabric of mental life. Together they generate the richness and the instability of human experience. Individual differences in mental life. No two minds are identical. While the neural architecture is broadly shared across humanity, individual variability is immense. Biological foundations. Genetics influence temperament, baseline emotional reactivity, attention span, and susceptibility to anxiety or depression. Some individuals are naturally more sensitive to stimuli. Others display remarkable emotional resilience. Brain structure and connectivity patterns vary subtly from person to person. Even identical twins, though genetically similar, develop differences based on experience. Neuroplasticity ensures that life events, trauma, education, relationships leave lasting imprints. Developmental experience. Early childhood experiences play a crucial role in shaping perception and emotional regulation. Secure attachment fosters trust and emotional stability. Chronic stress or neglect can heighten threat sensitivity and impair regulatory systems. Over time, repeated thought patterns become entrenched. Someone who habitually interprets events negatively strengthens neural circuits associated with pessimism. Someone who practices gratitude strengthens networks associated with positive appraisal. Cultural and social context. Cognition is not merely individual. It is embedded in culture. Cultural norms influence emotional expression, moral ideals, and cognitive styles. Some cultures emphasize collectivism and interdependence. Others emphasize individual autonomy. These orientations shape how people interpret success, failure, and personal identity. Personality and cognitive bias. Psychologists identify personality dimensions such as openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. These traits influence how individuals process information. High neuroticism may correlate with greater anxiety and rumination. High openness may correlate with curiosity and tolerance for ambiguity. Cognitive biases also vary in intensity. Confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that supports existing beliefs, operates universally, but some individuals are more reflective and capable of questioning their assumptions. Thus, individuality arises from a dynamic interplay of biology, experience, culture, and conscious practice. 3. Natural flaws in human cognition. Human cognition evolved for survival in small groups facing immediate threats. It was not optimized for abstract philosophical clarity or modern information overload. Cognitive biases. Common biases include confirmation bias, seeking evidence that supports prior beliefs. Availability heuristic, overestimating the importance of vivid or recent events. Negativity bias, giving more weight to negative experiences. Fundamental attribution error, attributing others' behavior to character rather than circumstance. These biases simplify complex decision-making but can distort reality. Emotional reactivity. Emotions arise rapidly and often unconsciously. The fight-or-flight response evolved to address immediate physical threats. In modern life, social evaluation, financial stress, and abstract fears trigger the same system. This mismatch between ancient biology and modern complexity contributes to chronic stress and anxiety. Limited working memory. Human working memory can hold only a small number of items at once. Complex reasoning requires sustained attention, which is easily disrupted. The illusion of introspection. People often believe they understand their own motivations clearly. Yet research suggests we frequently confabulate reasons for our actions after the fact. Much mental processing occurs below conscious awareness. Recognizing these flaws is not a cause for despair but a starting point for growth. Across history, thinkers have attempted to address precisely these limitations. Before Ancient philosophical approaches to mental mastery. Socratic inquiry. The Greek philosopher Socrates emphasized self-examination. His method, relentless questioning, exposed contradictions in assumed knowledge. For Socrates, unexamined beliefs were the root of confusion and moral error. The Socratic method trains metacognition, thinking about thinking. By interrogating assumptions, individuals reduce the grip of unexamined bias. Stoicism. Stoic philosophers such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius developed practical exercises for emotional resilience. Central to Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control, judgment, intention, and what is not, external events. Suffering, according to Stoicism, arises not from events themselves but from our interpretations. By reframing perceptions and aligning desires with reality, one cultivates tranquility. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy echoes Stoic principles. Identifying distorted thoughts and replacing them with balanced interpretations reduces emotional distress. Buddhism, centuries earlier, Gautama Buddha articulated a psychological diagnosis of suffering. Craving and attachment, he taught, generate dissatisfaction. The mind habitually grasps at pleasant experiences and resists unpleasant ones. Meditation practices cultivate awareness of thoughts and sensations without attachment. Through mindfulness, individuals observe the impermanent nature of mental states. This reduces identification with transient emotions and weakens reactive patterns. Buddhist psychology recognizes cognitive distortions long before modern terminology existed. It emphasizes direct experiential insight rather than purely intellectual understanding. Early modern and contemporary psychological approaches. William James and the stream of consciousness. The American philosopher and psychologist William James described consciousness as a flowing stream rather than a series of static thoughts. He emphasized habit formation and voluntary attention. James argued that deliberately redirecting attention could reshape emotional life. This anticipates modern findings on neuroplasticity. Abraham Maslow and self-actualization. Humanistic psychologist Abraham Maslow proposed a hierarchy of needs culminating in self-actualization, the realization of one's fullest potential. Maslow shifted focus from pathology to flourishing. Rather than merely reducing suffering, psychology could cultivate meaning, creativity, and authenticity. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, formalizes the Stoic insight that interpretation shapes emotion. By identifying automatic negative thoughts and testing their validity, individuals weaken maladaptive patterns. Research demonstrates that reframing cognitive distortions reduces depression and anxiety. Structured exercises enhance self-awareness and emotional regulation. Interpersonal neurobiology. Contemporary psychiatrist Daniel Siegel emphasizes integration, the linking of differentiated neural systems into coherent functioning. Emotional regulation arises from balanced connectivity between higher-order reasoning regions and emotional centers. Siegel highlights the importance of relationships in shaping the brain. Secure interpersonal bonds enhance resilience and self-regulation. 6. The pursuit of inner peace. Across traditions, certain themes recur. Awareness. Before change, one cannot correct distortions one does not perceive. Mindfulness practices, reflective journaling, and philosophical dialogue increase awareness of internal processes. Reframing interpretation. Events are filtered through narrative. By consciously examining narratives, individuals can shift from catastrophic thinking to balanced appraisal. Acceptance of impermanence. Many traditions emphasize impermanence. Emotional states rise and fall. Recognizing this reduces panic and distress and attachment and pleasure. Ethical alignment. Inner peace is not merely emotional regulation, but moral coherence. Acting in alignment with values reduces internal conflict. Compassion. Extending compassion toward oneself and others counteracts harsh self-criticism and resentment. Compassion practices reshape neural pathways associated with empathy. 7. Integrating science and philosophy. The convergence between ancient philosophy and modern neuroscience is striking. Stoic reframing resembles cognitive therapy. Buddhist mindfulness aligns with research on attentional training. Socratic questioning mirrors metacognitive therapy. Science provides empirical validation and refinement. Philosophy provides existential context. Together they offer a multidimensional path toward reducing cognitive error and cultivating stability. In conclusion, the human brain is a dynamic predictive system shaped by biology and experience. Cognition and emotion are intertwined processes generating both insight and illusion. Individual differences arise from genetics, development, and culture. Embedded within this architecture are biases and limitations that once aided survival but now complicate modern life. Yet humanity has never passively accepted these constraints. From Socratic inquiry to Stoic discipline, from Buddhist meditation to cognitive therapy, thinkers across history have sought methods for refining perception and calming the restless mind. Inner peace does not emerge from eliminating emotion or suppressing thought. It arises from understanding their mechanisms, recognizing their limitations, and cultivating awareness that allows response rather than reaction. The journey toward mental clarity is ongoing. It is both scientific and philosophical, empirical and experiential. And perhaps its most enduring insight is this: the mind that generates confusion is the same mind capable of insight. Through disciplined reflection, compassionate awareness, and deliberate practice, the architecture of cognition itself can be gradually reshaped. In that reshaping lies the possibility, not of perfection, but of equilibrium. Well, that's all for today. If you liked this content and found it interesting, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates to the channel, and most importantly, stay curious.